Hi everyone, this is Tanya with Flying Dog Studio. Thank you so much for joining me for our final installment of the loose painting with the Caran Neocolor II water-soluble oil pastels. If you have not caught the first three, I will link those down below so you can see how we got to our starting point today. Now, we left off in the last video. I was coming back and refining some of these shapes, and I was using a different technique where I have a palette to the side. I'm coloring on that has a rough texture on it. That is a cutting board, actually, a small cutting board. That was a free gift from the Walmart grocery pickup. Serves no use in my kitchen, but the back of it has a wonderful texture that I can color on and then come back and paint on the surface of this piece and use these water-soluble oil pastels more like a watercolor and less like a crayon. So what I'm doing here is brightening up some areas because this is the light shining through the trees. And again, I am breaking the rules. I'm putting the light on top of the dark, and I have found that this actually works much better with these Neocolor IIs than it does with actual watercolor. So this is not necessarily something I'd be able to do with colors this dark, putting a light color on top, but it does work well with these, so that was exciting. I am going to be doing this throughout the video, just continuing to put some color to the side and then come back over and add some more details in. So I'm going to let you watch that for a bit, and I'm going to hop back on in a few minutes and tell you a little bit more about what I'm doing. I have just used the same crayon that I had used as a watercolor over at the side. I'm coloring directly onto the piece. And the reason I'm doing this is that, as you can see, it is much brighter in these darker areas, and it allows me to get the shapes that I need because this is grass growing up at the top. In the trees, I can use the little dots and dashes, as we have said in the other videos that Impressionist artists use. And down below, I'm wanting to make some longer strokes to get this grass in because this was tall grass and tall flowers growing up between them. So I'm using the same color, and I believe that was a light olive. I believe that was the color. Again, as I said in one of the other videos, I'm not going to concentrate on color names in this one. I just simply want to concentrate on technique. So I am using the same color for that. Now you're going to see me make some of the same greens that I made in previous videos, and I'm going to be refining those grasses down at the bottom, and I will switch back and forth from using this technique where I'm making the watercolor to the side and painting those on, and then when I need lighter colors, I am going to be picking up the crayons. I found if I really wanted to make a bright color, it does work, like in areas in the trees at the top, if I want to use the watercolor technique like you see me using right now. But if I want to get some of those shapes at the bottom, because there are so many different shades of grass blades down there and the stems coming up to those flowers, it works much better if I just simply use the crayon. now coming in and refining some of those flowers that are a little more in focus, because I had mentioned previously that this reference photo was more of an out of focus picture, but some of the flowers were a little more in focus. So on those, once again, I'm using the crayon and I am using very little water, because while I want to activate those colors and kind of make them blend in a little bit with things, I don't want them to blend in too much. I want them to stand out. So allowing them to have a little more of that oil pastel look will allow me to do that, and it will draw a little more attention to them and make them a little more detailed. For those of you that watch my videos in the past, you know this is a very rare moment. I love using my size 8 round to paint everything, and I have actually brought out my size 2 round. So rare moment for me, but I needed it to paint in the stems on these flowers. And actually, if I'd had something a little smaller, I might have used that instead of this. I'm holding it on its tip to get those tiny little stems that are on the flowers. The tops of the flowers are already in, and I'm just coming underneath them and bringing those stems down. All the same color. I'm not varying the color on them. I believe this is one of my olive colors. I believe that's the dark olive, and I'm just bringing it in, putting all those on, but you'll notice they stop abruptly right in the middle of that mass of flowers. The ends of them do. I don't want them to do that. So what I'm going to do once I get them in and I'm satisfied, I'm going to get a little water on my brush and just thin out the bottoms of those. So that's coming right up. As I am adding the final touches to this piece, we are almost to the end. Thank you so much for joining me on this. I appreciate it. If you have gone to all 4 parts and watched all 4 parts, please let me know below. You're not going to win a prize, you're just going to win a thank you so much. I do appreciate your being here always, and I love the comments. There have been some wonderful comments about colors that you use. Please continue to put those down there, and let's be a community that kind of works together and learns these mediums as we go. I always love input because I am certainly not an expert, and this was a brand new medium for me, and I would love to know if some of you use this, what colors you use, what's your favorite method. Let us know down below. If you're interested, I did have a video previously before this series about the Sailor Fude de Manon pen, the little pen that has it looks like a broken tip. It's a bent tip, and I'm going to be doing some studies on Beatrix Potter. I want to learn her style of inking, and if you hear a dog barking in the background, so sorry, that's my dog. But I'm going to be looking at how she inks things. She was a master at inking. So I'm going to be doing some of those studies, and I have some other stuff coming up. So I do hope you'll join me for that. Thank you again for being here. I appreciate it so much, and I will see you in the next one.